Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the second segment of Two Real Cryptid Legends with Darrell, Denton, and Ron Morehead. Tonight, I am your anchor host for the evening and manager of the United Public Radio Network, to which we are broadcasting live on. The guys thought it would be great to do an open mic, again, question period, Q&A. I hope you guys have been able to get some questions and comments ready. But before that, we've got to get to the legality. So we are broadcasting live right here on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM from the Gulf Coast, 107.7 FM from beautiful New Orleans. And without further ado, let's bring on Darrell Denton and Ron Morehead. As soon as I see him pop into the frame at the bottom, there he is.
Right.
Good evening.
Hello.
Good evening.
Howdy.
My brother Ron. Hello, Michelle. Thank you for being on here with us again.
Yeah. Oh, are you all right?
No, got something caught in my throat.
It's not good.
Oh well.
Want to take a
Please.
minute?
Hello, everybody out there. Good to see everyone.
Okay.
Well, welcome, guys. Segment number 2, Q&A.
It's
Right.
fun to be here. Thank you for having
Great
us.
to be here.
Oh,
Michelle,
yeah.
thank you again for all you do for us. She is our best manager / moderator. What would we do without her?
Thank you. Thank you. Takes a bow, does her best. So tonight
Hats off
is.
to that.
There we go. Yes, thank you. Have a little sip. So, I've asked people to, this has been up for about a week, advertised, to see if they would come in, if there was any questions, if there was any comments, things like that. And so far, nobody's chimed in yet, so we're going to wait. So I thought I would get started. Another reason why I'm here, just keep the ball rolling, because I am champion. So here we go. So what I did is I thought it would be fun just to sort of go around, and because I belong to so many groups, and to see if there was any interesting questions that sort of went unanswered in some of these groups. And there were some really interesting things that came up.
You all right, Ron?
You right there? Do you want to take a minute?
No, just mute me for a minute if you would.
Okay, sure, absolutely. There we go. We just got Ron. Just do what
Yeah.
he's got to do there. Just give me a thumbs up when you're ready, and then we'll go for that. You're good.
Ready or
Okay.
not, just go on all night long.
We'll find out. We shall find out. So anyway, big thanks to everybody in the chat who's popping in, by the way. Thank you for that, everyone. Get your questions and comments ready. Don't be shy. Okay, so I guess based on this question, somebody had asked if cryptids in general, not necessarily just Bigfoot or Dogman, but hypothetically, if they use portals, do anybody control the portals? They want to know what controls the portals at the other end. I thought that was kind of interesting. So
That's a good question. You want to know? Does everybody want to know?
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I just want to know.
What?
No, I don't know if they can control it with their consciousness or if it's just magnetic alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we do have magnetic portals existing, and they're shown. Yeah.
Okay.
NASA studies them all. So I just don't know.
I
just know if I ever start to go through one, I hope someone's got a rope around my foot so I can pull me out.
It's like
I'll put a bell on my toe.
We'll throw you a rope and then just pull you back like the movie Poltergeist. How about you, Darrell? What are your thoughts?
I think that I do believe in portals. I know they exist. I've seen pictures of one. I don't know that I've actually seen one myself. I've seen what I think could have been a portal. My close friend that's no longer with us, Scott Carpenter, had one of the better pictures that I've ever seen. And a lady in my group, Jennifer Appleton, had one that was pretty fantastic too during a rainstorm. I almost think that it has something to do with crossover between the higher energy and vibration, but at the same time, maybe another dimension trying to cross over into the one we're in. So I don't know how it works. I guess none of us won't know until we someone has a real explanation of how it does work, but no one knows. So, but I know they exist.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
they exist.
Okay, let's go on to the first question. Kevin, hello. Thank you for your question. Do you think translucentness is common to see in just cryptids in general, of varied kinds? Again, not just limited to Bigfoot or Dogman.
I missed all that question.
Uh,
Say
do
it
you
was.
think do you think translucentness is common to see in cryptids, just in general?
I think it goes to the higher vibration once again, and I know Ron feels the same way.
Yeah, everything's vibration. I mean, you find the vibration of anything, and you can change what you see, change matter. Actually,
Mm.
according to Dr. Dirac, Nobel Prize
Mm.
winner in 1933, antimatter, that's what it's called. And I think most things that are cryptid, well, if they're really hybrid like the Dogman, some Bigfoot and some Dogman, some they might have the ability to create the frequency to change their matter into energy, and vice versa. And I think my personal belief is, and I just read this on Ronnie LeBlanc's page. He put a quote of mine on there. It said about these how energy and matter interchange, and it's actually a proven mathematically. It's proven through quantum physics that yeah that I think it's our third density that we're stuck with.
Yeah.
That's
That's what
where
Richard
we're at.
said. It's a
Yeah,
density
Yeah,
thing. Yeah.
100%.
yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Wayne's
I don't
base.
really believe that all of them are able to do it. I don't know. I don't know how you determine if one can over another. But people that I know that have watched a Bigfoot go interdimensional or cloak or whatever you want to call it, I'm not sure that all of them have the ability to do that.
That's a
But
It's
I
all
good
know
about
some
point.
people
frequency.
do.
Yeah,
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 it's
that's a
about
good
frequency
point.
again.
yeah.
Because if a lot of them have, over the eons of time, if they've inbred or crossbred with indigenous people, they might have been downgraded into our density.
Yeah.
However, we all have the ability, if we just knew how to connect with it, to change our density. Uh, it's like
Yes.
some of the masters can do. You just have to be
Yes.
able to connect all the way through the chakras and get everything right. It's called the the Christ
Yeah.
consciousness.
So I suppose
Mm.
the pure blood definitely would
Uh-huh.
be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Hi, Alan. Ron, is it
Mm.
true you had to be life flighted out because your horse became spooked on your first attempt to your non-disclosed camp spot? Do you need me to repeat that for you?
If I
Or
try to get how do I get out? Let me
yeah,
tell
well,
you
yeah.
what
I said,
happened.
is it true you
Yeah.
had to be life flighted out because
No,
your
that's
horse
not
became
true.
spooked?
No,
Okay,
I
good.
didn't.
There we go.
That's what
That's
Scott
the
Nelson
question.
thought he was going to have to do, is go get a helicopter from somewhere to come pick me up. And I wouldn't let him leave because I'd have been bear bait by then. No, it wasn't my first trip. It was one trip I was going to with Scott Nelson, the crypto linguist, and something was bothering the horses a lot on the whole trail. And anyway, I write about this in my book, but it's just
Mm-hmm.
it was a crazy event. Everything about it. We never could get to camp that day, and that's when I got thrown off, and really thrown off. Scott Nelson says I went 15 feet. Because every time he tells it, he says I went 2 or 3 feet higher than what he said the first time.
Mm.
Yeah, he was way up there. He saw me, and I landed between two boulders and broke a rib.
Oh.
So I was laying there in pain, couldn't breathe, couldn't. And he got down to me. He said, "You all right?" He said, "I'm gonna go get help." I said, "Don't you leave me here."
Oh
There was
boy.
a lot of bear up there, and they would have had a fun time with me. But anyway, that was a trip. It was quite a
Yeah.
day, really. We started out in the morning and ended up getting down at the bottom. Finally, when
Mm.
I got to walking where I could get up, I had to walk out of there. I wasn't going to stay there. I wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
wait for no helicopter to try to pick me up. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
anyway,
So that is
no,
that.
yeah, that's
There
that.
we go. Brought that shed the light on that.
Mm.
Kevin says he asked about the translucent because he says I asked because we saw three Bigfoot moving in the woods, and there was a translucent, see-through quality to them as they moved. Then the leaves stopped moving, and they sort of just vanished.
Aha. Frequency again. See, there we go. Right back into that changing of frequency and matter,
Yeah, so
energy and matter. Yeah.
that's a
Uh,
really good capture, though.
yeah. I've had several people. So probably at least a dozen
Uh,
people over my 50
yeah,
years
I'd like.
doing this.
What state were you in, or what country you were in when you said?
He's in the east coast of Canada.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I've heard of that numerous times, not necessarily two or three of them, but one or so. And
yeah,
there's a lot of people, if you go to Dr. Matthew Johnson, he says they step right into trees and just vanish. So I'm not sure that they don't.
Well, that's
yeah.
also Native American lore. They should
Right.
energize in trees, and also
Hmm.
another person says they swear up and down they see him go into a tree. Then you hear a lot of people say, "Well, I see him peek behind this tree," but then his
Right.
head would come out and go back, but then the tree's only so big, and
Yeah,
you should have seen the body behind the tree, you know. But anyway,
yeah,
it's
right.
I don't I
Thank
got
you,
a I
Alan.
got a chapter on trees in my last book.
Oh,
Bigfoot Unveiled. I think it's
uh,
something really interesting going on with trees. These things don't like us cutting down the trees and screwing up the forest.
yeah. But I mean, trees have their own energy and can communicate, within their root system. Like
Sure.
there's intelligence
Absolutely.
there, and there's an exchange of energy that takes place as well, right?
It's pretty
So that's
amazing. It
Yeah.
really is.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, Allison,
Well,
it's
and they
great
give
to
us
see you
life.
both.
You know,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
they give us life. They give us life.
they do.
A lot
They
more. A
do.
lot more than just that. Yeah.
Thank you,
No.
Alan.
Okay,
Yeah.
next
Thanks for
question.
the.
Bruce Brown. Hello, Bruce. Do you believe it's possible for old Bigfoot could be mistaken for Dogman? Older Bigfoot tend to be really skinny, faces are sinking in and causing the nose to be extended. What are your thoughts on that? Could it be a mistaken identity?
I'm sure any of them can be mistaken. Uh, the dog men I've seen are completely different looking than Bigfoot. I'm sure that some of them at an age or poor health quality could be thinner and maybe look differently. But, I've never seen a Bigfoot with a snout type face
Mm-hmm.
myself, but I know they exist in what they call the Gugwas,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Right. The
which is
hybrid.
similar, right, similar
Right.
to a Bigfoot, but of course, Gugway in the Native American language means face eater. So they have the snout instead of the regular face. And they
Mm-hmm.
also have pointed ears, but they have the same body type as Bigfoot. But I don't think that Dogman and Bigfoot, I think they're completely two different creatures. Um,
Mm-hmm.
not saying that
Yeah.
one of them could look like the other if there was some type of health issue or one that was older.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
some men have big ears too. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
There we
another
go.
thing that might add to this little uh, thing
Mm-hmm.
here, and that's if they do slip in and out of our dimension, their time and their aging wouldn't be the same as ours.
That's
So
true.
there's some that could be very, very. If they stay in our third density, which I think they like to do,
Mm-hmm.
uh, they would age like we do once they're in this density. But as soon as they step out of this into another density,
Mm-hmm.
they wouldn't be aging like we do.
There should
So
be an
there's
advantage. I can't see anybody wanting to stay in 3D.
Yeah.
So seriously, it's just so brutal, you know.
Well, actually, my opinion of that is just the opposite. I think we're lucky to be in this density so we can experience things,
Yeah.
and I think that's what we're here for, is to experience and to respond to the experience properly.
Hmm. Well,
That's the big
it's a
key.
classroom, right? It's
Yeah,
like a classroom. Because I personally feel that
absolutely.
I
Yeah,
could learn things
yeah.
in 5D as well.
You think, no, you'll
I
know
do.
everything then. Once you get there, you'll know everything.
Yeah. Well, here's to hoping.
Yeah.
Richard said, "What is your favorite thing about the Bigfoot species on an average? Do we call them species or do we call them a race? I always find species personally, at least with extraterrestrials and such. Like people say, that's rude. They're races. I'm like, that's true. you know, and I tended to shy away from the term because some people do believe Bigfoot might be
I'll let
form of
Ron
race.
go. I'll let Ron
Yeah.
answer that, then I'll answer it. I know what mine is for sure.
Okay.
Okay, well, first of all, I don't think you'd call them a species. Collectively, I think they're different, and some might be
Yes.
totally different genome. And
Yeah.
if that's the case, then there wouldn't be just one. So
Yeah.
anyway, that's the caveat I have on that one.
Okay.
I personally believe that, I would never call them a species either myself, but I understand why someone might use that as a terminology. But my favorite thing
Beings.
about Bigfoot by far is how they possess so many special skills. To me, it's amazing. Their strength is enormous. All their insights are so much better than ours. I know that I believe they can see you a mile away. I know they can smell you. They seem to pick up on your inner being or what you're feeling, what your intentions are. So that's my favorite thing about them is the fact of how they have the special abilities to be able to do that.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
Next question. Have either of you heard of Bigfoot being in the United Kingdom?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I have. I haven't been
Okay.
over there, but they talk about it. I know that. I've been on podcasts over there before, and they
Because they're
claim
on an
they have them.
island, technically, right?
Well, pretty big island, yeah.
Yeah. But
No,
still,
that's not an island.
you got to kind of get there.
I
Take the
guess
tunnel over from France. I don't know.
I guess we're on an island too in the U.S. because we're surrounded. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that seems to be the consensus. It's not like as big as, let's say, United States or like a country that is within the European Union, countries next to other countries, and you have to go from one very large, or one coast across a very large space, to the other border, and you know what? That's just true because Misha's in Australia, and yeah, so you're an island too.
Well,
Yes,
then
okay,
Russia. Yeah,
take it
Russia
back.
claims to have a lot.
Yeah.
Russia has the wild man over there, which I've
yeah,
been over there in Siberia looking around for those things, and they got evidence of those things. A lot of sightings over
Mhm.
there in Russia.
Mhm.
They hands down, they totally believe. They don't have to try to convince people over there. They have
Yeah.
that is science even goes with it. In fact, they took us over there, me and Dr. Meldrum and Dr. Benenagel, years ago, had to do a little investigating into Siberia, and we spoke at
Mm.
the Darwin Museum, so it was quite a
Mhm.
fun, and they
Yeah.
paid for it all, so they're really into it. Yeah.
Yeah. Wayne said there's an entire forest under the water of the English Channel. So at one time, England was connected to the mainland.
Hmm.
Yeah.
yeah.
Wrong one. Sorry, Alan. This is a great question, and this may apply not just to Canada, but to other areas. As Ron and Darrell, do you think there has been a large migration of these beings due to the Canadian wildfires? And again, probably apply to different areas as well.
I think it would
Well,
surprise people. Go ahead, Ron. Go ahead.
no, I just gonna say, yeah. I mean, they got to get out of the fire. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, yeah. I mean, there's some stories about Mount St. Helen when it blew, and there's all kinds of stories about these things being seen leaving some of
Well, Mount
these
St. Helen
tunnels. I
blew. They
guess
were taken out on helicopters.
Oh
Many
yeah,
witnesses
fire.
saw
that's
that.
that's what they
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, that's what they
Yeah.
say. Yeah.
And there's a lot of wildfires in California. When I was up there with at the campsite with David Pilates in 2018, there was
Mm.
fire. I think there were 17 fires, forest fires in California going
Wow.
on. We was afraid we was going to get caught in there and couldn't get out, but we got
Mm.
out, obviously. So,
Yeah.
otherwise, we might have had a good barbecue sandwich for somebody up there. Oh well.
I think
Excuse
there's,
me.
I think it would really surprise people. My personal belief is there's a whole lot more of these creatures than people believe are out there. So I
Mm.
know since I first got into it by pure accident, by having my sighting in the early '90s. I mean, I've seen a lot of these creatures, and it seems to me like there's a lot more now than there was then. And I'm sure that has a lot
Mhm.
to do with a lot more people being in the woods looking for them. So
Exactly.
Mm.
But
I believe the same thing. Yeah. And plus, they're multiplying. They are
they
multiplying.
do.
When they have children in a third density, and they have to raise their children in this density. I think, and
Mm.
that's what we were dealing with up there. I know there was a child up there at a camp. We got recorded and got his tracks and everything, but he was making sounds too. And I think their young ones are learning, and I think they teach their young ones how to deal with us idiot humans,
Yeah.
for us and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But
So,
well, I was gonna say I heard an interview from a deputy one time who watched a family of about 45 minutes, and he said they were actually showing that he thinks they were showing the young one because they were pulling limbs off this tree and wiping out. Like, I mean, that's what he
mm,
said. I mean, I didn't see this myself, but I've heard this kind of reports before, and
hmm
they're very they're tuned
hmm
into the human exploitation of them. Let's put it that way. They don't want to be found. They don't want to interfere, and they just want to
hmm
be left alone. But we're not
But you
going to leave
made
them alone. No.
you made a very interesting point, which raises this question. So, if they have their children in third density, the children then cannot, because they were born here, can they not travel back through portals with their parents? Does that make the parents have to stay behind?
No, I don't think so. I think they can,
Okay.
like we can, if we just knew how.
Yeah. Okay.
They have the same. They have what we have, plus they know how to
Yeah.
connect with it better.
Yes.
And yeah,
Okay. Oh, that's perfect.
we
All
haven't
right.
been shortchanged. We have not been shortchanged as human beings. We just have
Yeah.
have not learned how to flow with it and be with it and be what we're supposed to be yet.
Because we're not living in the woods like Bigfoot. We've just,
You know,
we're eating all of this processed
Yeah,
food
we
and,
got to start
all
eating
these,
bugs.
yeah.
Start eating bugs.
bringing up that point, my growing up, my grandmother on my father's side was very spiritual, and she
Mm,
always told me that we all had special abilities to do things that are hard to believe, but we just don't practice them. And
mm,
my grandmother had some of those special abilities, and I'm not talking about witchcraft. I'm talking about just the way of you can do things. We have a whole lot more inner being than we understand.
mhm.
Well, intuitiveness is a good example. Where
100%.
you sense somebody going to do something, and all of a sudden you turn around, they're doing it, or sense a phone call coming in from so and so, and that happens. And
Mhm.
we all have a good example of that, even the remote viewing. How does that really happen? Your consciousness. These
Yeah.
people that do that, the military's been doing that for a long, long time. Remote viewing. There's some very, very good remote viewers out there that have learned how to really grab a hold of that part of it and do it. We
Mm,
can all do that if we just knew how.
yeah.
We know how. It's just a matter of disciplining yourself enough to really go through the channels. I
Mhm.
don't know. Let's all go to India and sit with the shamans over there and see what.
Yeah. Yeah. That's probably the right way to do it. Bruce says, "What's your biggest Bigfoot print find?"
Hmm. Mine was 25 and a half inches. There was four of them, 13 feet apart. And
Wow.
that's one I didn't talk about for a long time because it's too unbelievable. If I had run across those myself, I don't think I'd have believed it. I did. And
Yeah.
that was never found right at our camp, but it was found up on the ridge where, I think I know where these things hang out, but that's another story. I can't get to there. But it was 25 and a half inches, and that would, you got to kind of do the math on how big that thing had to be. But he didn't come around camp. That thing never came around camp because how do you hide something that big? Have something like that.
Yeah.
How big does a tree have to be to get behind it or get in it or whatever? But yeah,
Wow.
that's pretty big.
That is pretty big.
Um, mine's 22 inches. I've found several in the 20-inch range, but 22 inches on the Cumberland River of Tennessee.
Wow. That just still something you just really want to run into. You just, yeah, no, I don't think so.
And surprisingly, I found a dogman track Martin Groves and I did that was 8 inches wide and almost 12 inches long.
Oh,
That's a big creature too.
that is big considering, how aggressive they tend to be. That's
But
just a
that was
little,
inland between the legs.
of course it was. Of course it
I'm
was.
glad it was there.
They grew them big in them there woods.
But Ron, we've been there quite a few times, so there's quite a few
Yeah.
tracks that have been found there.
Yes. Dolly says, have you ever gotten hair samples? And I will add to that questions. If so, after analysis, what was the determination? So,
Me personally, I had hair samples. I had scat. We had a little bit of everything, including saliva off of a cantaloupe on the peel. And we did send those to several different labs, and we never got an answer back from any of them.
really?
Nothing. $1,300 out the door.
That's the problem
Wow.
right there. That's the problem. $1,300 is cheap too. If you, however, you can just analyze the hair through a microscope and tell if it's human or primate or not. And I know people that do that for nothing. But
Yep.
just they cut the medulla in it, you know,
So, what
and
if it's
it's
not human and it's not really primate?
Well,
Then
I
well, it
you,
was
is
told
prime.
by I was told by the lab because I was
uh,
pretty upset. We invested that much money. We wanted some type of answer, at least whether it was
mhm.
an unknown species or an animal known. And they gave us the answer that they
Mhm.
didn't give out evidence for anything that didn't exist. That was all we got. So,
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's not
That's
typical. Like a primatologist will say, no,
right.
they're all primate. But what if, it's just, what if it's something more? Like an
well, that's the
ancient
problem we
race
have
of
is if it's not
people.
in the gene bank or in something that's already
Yeah.
known by science, they're not going to chime in on it until it is
Yeah.
known by
Because hair
yeah,
would yield
yeah.
DNA. Yeah, for
And that's
sure.
why
I
you
think
know once
Yeah.
exactly. Dr. Melba Kitchen is a perfect example for that. I 100% believe she had over
Hmm.
100 samples, her and the Genome Project, of DNA samples, including saliva, blood
Hmm.
from a nail board, hair, and
Hmm.
they got back it was 58% human female, 42% unknown species. And a lot
Mm.
of people discredit her for that and say it wasn't real and it was, it was uh, contaminated evidence. I don't believe that.
Hmm.
I believe it's a human hybrid, and I think she proved that.
Hmm. Okay. Next question. I'm going to ask this question first because, Daryl, there's one up here for you that I think may be more detailed. Bruce says, have you ever been charged or challenged by a Bigfoot? Yeah, Daryl's
Yep.
smiling. Sure have. Okay.
I've been bluff charged numerous times by Bigfoot, and the first time I was bluff charged by Bigfoot was in Cheatham County, Tennessee, in 2000 and I guess 11 or maybe 10.
Hmm.
A certain area. I was also charged on the Tennessee River close to Chattanooga, Tennessee, by juvenile Bigfoot, and I didn't know it was juvenile at that time. It was so dark. The next morning, I did see it. They'll do that if they don't trust you or they pick up something from you that you have a bad spirit about you, that you're there for a reason that they don't like. If they pick up you're a good soul and you're not there to harm them, that's not always the case. But these species, these creatures are just like us. There's good ones and there's bad ones. They're not all
Hmm.
good, and I've been fortunate enough to be around some that were, but the Blue Ridge Mountains was probably the scariest time I've had since my first encounter. And there were some in there that were pretty aggressive and kept me on the run.
Hmm. Wow. Ron?
I have not. No, I've
Yeah.
never been charged by one, and I've been
Yeah.
very close to them, and they, I mean, very
Yeah.
close, and it just no. Well, the family was dealing with up there. They were, I think, on my side, on our side. Obviously, or they
Yeah.
could have thrown a rock and got us anytime they wanted us, and never did that. And they interacted with us, I would say, with respect. I think that's what they look for in a spirited person, or the
Hmm.
frequency that
100%.
you're carrying around is a
Yeah.
respect. If you're
Hmm.
respecting the property and respecting what's going on up there, and
Hmm.
I think that has a lot to do with your frequency, and they can energize with that.
I believe that. Yep. Boy, another thing too, if you're carrying some type of firearm,
Hmm.
I believe they can smell the powder residue in the barrel, and I think it alarms them and upsets them because they're of course afraid you might fire upon them or their family. And I got a pretty good reason. We kind of walked up on these individuals, and They got aggressive. The ones I had on the river that I visited for nearly over 4 years, they were never aggressive with me, and I required a really good friendship with them, and I gained their respect and trust, and the same with me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we always carried firearms with us up there, and it didn't seem to bother them a bit. We even shot around camp in the daytime, and we'd hunt for deer, and always had weapons with us and guns, but that didn't seem. I think they read your frequency.
Yeah,
they know. They read your energy, and so, horses do that. Animals can do that, and well, we do that if we just knew how. It's the aura, the energy that surrounds you, and if you learn how to read that, and they know if what you're gonna do, or what your intention might be anyway. And that's why I don't think guns matter. It just matters what your intention is. What matters.
I think it just depends on the ones you're around. Some of these creatures have probably been shot at by people.
I'm sure, yeah.
And you get around creatures that haven't been shot at, and they don't feel your intention to be bad, and they don't get aggressive like that. But if you go into an area that someone has fired upon their family, or maybe shot one of them in their past, they're going to be a little more aggressive and act that way.
That would make a lot of sense. Once bitten, twice shy, right? Okay, question by Alan for Darrell. Tell us about your encounter with Dogman. There we go.
I'm not sure which one you're talking about. My very first Dogman I seen in 2021, and it was in Tazewell County, Virginia. You're probably talking, Alan, about the one with Martin Groves that I seen in LBL in 2023. I'm not sure. If you can let me know which one you're talking about, I would say that's probably the one that's most well known. That creature went from a blue mist in a ravine or a creek bottom next to a culvert into what looked like a silver gray colored Dogman type creature laying there in the ravine. It looked like it was going to pounce on me. It was 5 to 7 feet from me, and we were in Martin's truck in the middle of nowhere, and it was strangest creature that I've ever seen. It was also had mane around its neck like a lion. The eyes in its head were real deep, like small clear flashlights. And when it got up and looked at me, it walked around our truck. It didn't walk; it like glided around it and went around the backside. But the strangest thing about that creature, of course, it made Martin and I both sick. Some type of whatever you want to call it, would be infrasounded us or zapped us, whatever you want to call us. He was a lot sicker than I was. But the strangest thing about that creature is it walked off on the left side with our flashlight. My flashlight shined on it. It was also translucent. You could see through it. So it was a very strange creature, and I've never seen anything like that since.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. There's that part of me that says, yeah, I'd like to see one. That other part of me goes, you're a meathead. No, you don't. You don't really. But I'm just intrigued with them. Like I've always felt a connection.
The one I seen in Tazewell County, Virginia in 2021 was like a large German Shepherd, like a black German Shepherd is about 3 times the size of that creature.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like. When it stood up on 2 legs and stepped across a fence.
Yeah. To me, it's just insane, these things. It reminds me of a story that was told to me a few years ago, and I will put this out there just to see what you guys think. It was the story was told to me. Obviously, it was like, a secondhand story, but there was a young man who was like, people were telling me they knew who this young man was, who claims he saw a large wolf-type being circled his home for about 6 straight hours throughout the night and was gone by morning. Is this commonplace for Dogman or uncommon, or why would he be so fixated on it? He goes, he just randomly showed up and just circled the house. It was the only one at home. He was like 16 years old.
I think these
Darrell.
creatures pick up on fear. I know they do.
Mm-hmm.
Bigfoot and Dogman, they pick up on fear. If they
Mm-hmm.
feel the fear in you, I think they enjoy playing it.
Yeah.
And that may not be the reason, but that would be my probably
Yeah.
guess on why it was circling like that.
Mm-hmm.
I've not never experienced anything like that with one of those creatures. I've had them circle us out in the woods in the
Mm-hmm.
camping area, but not quite like what he has witnessed.
That was crazy. How about you, Ron? Thoughts?
Nope. Never had
I
anything
like
circling
that.
me like.
I got nothing. Okay, good. There we go. Not afraid. I love it. I do that too. What's your opinion? I don't have one. That's all good. I love it. Okay. Dolly says going back because they live out in Georgia, and so the mountains you were speaking of, and she said, "Do they mark trees because there's huge sideways scrapes way up the trunk?" Going back to your Bigfoot sandwich, you just were terrified in those woods.
I have not seen Bigfoot mark trees by scratching. I've seen them break limbs up high and twist them as what I believe to be markers.
Yeah.
And it shows their territory because they're very territorial. They have an area that they live in with their family, and they don't want anybody else or any other type of person trying to come into their area. But now, dogmen will leave claw marks like that. I found a long line of trees like that, actually in New Jersey 4 months ago.
But
Well,
the
a bear, if
sideways.
it's a bear, that kind of trees are marked. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, there we go. We have that as well. All right, question for Ron. We've got a few coming in, so this is good. Ron, what's your take on Skinwalker Ranch and the supposed portal or stargate that may be there with a superconductor to open these realms? There has to be an immense source of energy to be able to open this? Question mark.
Mm-hmm. Good question. I've not been to Skinwalker Ranch. I've flown over a few times on a plane, but I've never been on it. Got invited there one time. I don't know why I didn't go, but I did something else in my plans, I guess. But anyway, my thoughts are energy and matter transfer. The Skinwalker Ranch, if you read the book, which a lot of people have, there is something going on there, and it's with aliens and Bigfoot and portals, well, all that stuff. It does take a great amount of energy, and these things have to have a lot of energy. That's why you have a lot of signs around power lines and stuff like that, transformers and things like that. That's another reason I think batteries go dead around some of these when you're trying to record them. They take the energy out of it. They take the energy out of trees. I get carried away with this stuff, so forgive me. but I think yeah, that's what I think. I think that. I believe the Skinwalker Ranch definitely has some things going on. I mean, our government's put what $30 million into that when Bigelow bought it, something like that. And it's interesting. I think their show is a little well, it was a little bit behind the curve for a long time. I thought I didn't watch it too much. I watched it a time or two, I think. But when I seen what they were doing, I thought, well, why don't they just I have my own questions, but I know how production companies work. They want the narrative they want, and they're going to do what they want to do with it.
They wanted to go. I can tell you how they work because it's what I do. They wanted to go as long as possible, beat the horse as many times as you can, so to speak, because it's ratings, right? They want to drag it out as much as possible because that is that's the season.
That's so right. You're right, Michelle. It just goes. It's the narrative they're after, and I know I got filmed for 3 days solid by a production company one time up in Oregon years ago, and I mean they did everything with me, and I think I got 30 seconds on the program when we finally aired.
I know. You spend your life filming, and most of it's on the cutting room floor, you know. And I found interesting too because a producer friend of mine said it doesn't matter. You don't have to give the answer that they want, but they get you to talk enough that they will splice it together to get the answer that they want.
Yeah, they do.
So you may as well just go with it because it's going to happen anyway. So that was it for me. I think it's going to retire. Anyway, okay. Next question. Bigfoot puts off a terrible odor, mostly in January. What's your opinion? And that is from Bruce.
Can we take that?
Yeah, go ahead, Ron.
Bigfoot puts off a terrible
Well,
odor, especially in January. So, what's your
well, I don't
opinion?
know about especially in January. Maybe
I don't know.
that's his experience, maybe. But
Yeah.
it could just be lack of good hygiene. I mean, we didn't have that many smells up there. In fact, we rarely got a smell of anything that smelled wrong, really bad.
Hmm.
And they were very close to us at times up there. I think it could be something they can emit like a skunk automatically
I
if they
do.
want to, or it could just be bad hygiene. Uh,
Hmm.
just
Yeah.
because
I have to
they've,
agree with Ron. I think it could be some type of
yeah.
gland that they have when they get nervous or upset or they're trying to scare you. I've only smelt a couple of them, and the dog man I had a worse experience with that than anything else.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Hmm. So they're smelly as well, are they?
The one that we seen in the one that I was mentioning a little bit ago, where we left a terrible scent inside the vehicle like that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, crazy. All right, next question or comment, and I've never heard of this. He was a friend of mine. This is Kurt. Hi, Kurt. A buddy of mine is really fascinated with the Hexen wolf in Pennsylvania. Ever heard of that?
I've heard of it, but I don't know a lot about it. I really don't.
Okay.
I don't either. I got nothing.
I've
I don't either.
actually good one, Kurt, because I've never heard of it either. So, but I mean, if you can stump these guys, I'm just like, what
Maybe
role
he can
means I can
answer the
make it?
question. Maybe he can answer that question
Yeah.
for us. Is it some type of new bred wolf or
Yeah,
I don't know, a hybrid type? I'm not familiar with it.
we're not sure. Okay, next. Do you think, this is Richard, do you think dogmen are protectors of some kind? That goes back to a very ancient belief, actually. If you go back into the hypothesis of, that they come from perhaps like beings like such as Anubis and that they guard portals and gateways. That's why they're like that with cemeteries. A lot of them would be seen around there. The hypothesis is to, maybe guard the souls that are coming in or out.
Hmm. Interesting. What
That's
do
what
you
I
think,
said.
Darrell?
No, I
That's
would.
what I said.
Ron and I have discussed a few things, not exactly that particular thing, but I've been told by some pretty smart people that have really spent a lot of time studying dogman that
Mhm,
they believe these creatures were sent here to take care of the Bigfoot. And
mhm.
I'm not sure if that's the case, but I've been told that by several people that they have been told that they come here to get rid of the Bigfoot. So I know at one time you never seen those creatures together, and now I'm starting to hear people seeing them together. Uh,
Mhm.
I do.
I've heard. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Ron.
Well, I was just going to say I got a report from a guy who was a businessman out here on vacation on the West Coast, and he was fishing in was it Oregon? Yeah, and he said he knows where he could take me, where he could show me some skulls where the dogman actually hunts the Bigfoot. And he said,
Wow.
I found some remains there, and he said, I know that's what they do. And he was about to go crazy. He said, they're gonna lock me up if I tell them this stuff. I gotta tell somebody. So anyway, he told me where
Wow.
it was. I went there, and the Forestry Service had the road blocked off. I
Yeah.
couldn't I couldn't get back to the dirt road anyway. But
Yeah.
I was
This.
he told me right where they were, and I never could get to it. So, but he
Yeah.
swore up and down that they were here to hunt the Bigfoot, and
I've
that's
been,
why
I've
they.
been, Ron and I have discussed this before, and I've been told that by numerous people. Um,
Mhm.
I'm not sure, but I know years ago that you've never heard of a Bigfoot and a dog man accompanying each other as as a loyalty or as a friendship, but a lot of people are seeing them together now. And of course, you go back to Martin Groves and his attack in 1993 when he had the two dogman creatures attack his camp. There was also two Bigfoot type creatures in front of their truck blocking them from escaping. And
Wow.
they were together.
So
And
they're working together.
it seems like it's a possibility that they could be. But I'm like Ron. I've been told the same thing that they're here to kill Bigfoot.
It's so interesting because you go back to ancient times, especially like the Minoans and the Greeks, where, I mean, how many? We hear the Minotaur and you hear about half, like the centaurs, half man, half,
Right.
whatever it is that they would be talking about. And they talked about these, like there's these, they have half dog men, like, and half human, half dogs. You see these on old stone carvings, but there are tales where they would come across, if you can even imagine this, because I mean, Darrell, you've seen them, an army of them.
I've heard of that story. There's a gentleman
I'm good. Yeah.
there's a gentleman that lives in California
Yeah.
that had contacted me. Matter of fact, I turned him over to a buddy of mine that was in one of the National Dogman Association projects 2 or 3 years ago, and he actually worked security at an airport in California at night, a small airport. He was former military, and there was 5 security guards in that airport. At nighttime, they all left but him, and he actually had a apartment inside a hangar, one of the airport hangars. And at night, these dog men would come out everywhere, and they would just run across the terrain there where the airport was. You could hear him. He would call me at night. You could hear something running across the roof, and he was pretty terrified, and he wanted someone to come out and help him. And I turned him over to several people, but he also claimed that these things would drag different type of animals onto the airport area and devour them.
Wow.
And I've actually talked to this gentleman in the last 6 months. He's finally left there, but it's still going on, he says. He says the police know about it.
Wow.
They bring the homeless people up there. They live on the river and drop them off.
Wow.
Well, that's kind of rude. That's rude.
Yeah, it's like, wow. Oh my goodness. All right. Moving on. Okay, Bruce says, do you believe that as they develop, or the development of more land in Tennessee, that there's going to be more sightings?
And I think that's true everywhere. I think that's true everywhere. But
yeah, a line between the. I was going to say LBL's. It's a park. It's already got its boundaries. I don't know if they're going to expand that or not, but it's a huge park. There's over 200 cemeteries in that park,
right.
And that's amazing in itself. But a lot of history there, and a lot of areas have been closed off now due to the activity of dogmen. They say so. Well, they don't say, but people say.
Right.
And I know
well,
Darrell.
It's 180,000 acres there, and it used to be a national park. Now it's run by the National Forestry Service. So it's basically a camping / hunting area with, like Ron said, Ron has been there with me. He's part of my team there, but there's lots of areas there that supposedly are closed because of a weak bridge or certain areas that some kind of other incident. It's never about any type of attack or anything like that. But when you go to close down a campground that actually had a basketball court, a small grocery store, tennis courts, nearly 200, I believe, camping sites with hookups for RVs. Because a bridge has a problem, there's a little more to it than that.
Wow. All right. Okay, next question. I think, okay, it's a comment. I think dogmen were created, well, maybe at some point. Maybe it's some type of a weapon for military.
Could be.
I 100% believe that all these dogmen that some people have seen, I'm sure that the one that we seen that I was mentioned earlier was not some type of something put together by the military. Who knows? This is a hearsay thing. I don't have any evidence of that happening, but I can't put anything that says it couldn't happen because they did it in World War II. They were experimenting on different things, and I'm sure they still are.
Yeah.
Well, they do a lot of genetic manipulation now, I think. Our scientists are, and I think the military is part of that too. They could create or try to create something, maybe the ultimate fighting machine or whatever.
Yeah.
But there.
Possibility.
I
All
think
right.
Bigfoot could be the same thing. Some of them.
Alan has a question. Do you both believe that these beings, Bigfoot, Sasquatch, are protectors of the woodlands and forest? And is a dogman a Native American conjure by chance?
Well, I
Hmm.
100% believe that the Bigfoot is the protector of the forest because you go back to the people that I relate to, the Lakota Sioux Indian and plenty of other Native American tribes. The Lakota call them the Chayatanka. And the Chayatanka in Lakota language means great keeper, watcher of the forest, the great leader.
Mhm.
And I believe that Bigfoot, it was by the Native Americans, they felt like he was a strong, powerful creature that watched over the land and upkept it. So, dog man, I couldn't answer the question on that. I don't know everything about either one of these creatures, but dog man, I don't know. I know it was running the late 1700s in the LBL because there's records of it. And when I say the LBL, I'm talking about the Land Between the Lakes. But
Mhm.
I'm not familiar with how long it's been around or where or how it genetically came from, unless you go by the Nubis, which the go to that, which the Romans and the Egyptians had on
Yeah.
their carvings. So I don't know if that's the same creature or not. It sure does. It looks similar. What do you
Okay.
think, Ryan?
Let's see. What was the question again?
You can maybe go back and hunt it. He goes, "What do you think?
Well,
Do you
I
think that
think
it could be a conjure? Do you like Bigfoot, guardian of the woodlands and forests?
I've heard the same.
Dogman,
Yeah,
an indigenous conjure.
yeah. I really didn't forget. I would just,
He's playing.
anyway.
You just messing with me?
I think some of them care a lot about what we're doing in the
Yeah.
forest and how we're messing up this land that we've been given to take care of, and
Hmm.
they want us to take care of it. Some of them, they're not all the same. I got to keep saying that because
100%.
some of them can be very aggressive, like the ones that claim was in Port Locke, Alaska.
No.
They were huge and they were hurting people. In fact, they were tearing them apart. And I think if you just respect the property, you're going to get along fine with these things. But if you go out there, doing the wrong thing, they know your vibration. But still, yeah, I've heard that more than I've heard anything is that they do protect. But that's the Nave lore. That's what they say because
Mm-hmm.
they know we're not doing that, and they want us to be that way. We're supposed to be. We're all supposed to be taking care of this
Hmm.
planet.
Okay.
There.
Next one. What is the reason that you think why Native American elders do not speak of these cryptids?
I got asked one, I guess. They
I,
do speak about them. I just spoke in Yakima a
yeah.
couple of weeks ago. They talk about them. Now, I was with an elder over there, a couple of them, and I've been with elders before, and they will talk about them. You know, they're people like we are.
Mm.
They're. I think the idea is if you talk about them, well, I don't really know. I can't get inside their head. But
Right.
the ones that won't talk about them has
May
a
have had a
reason
bad
for it.
encounter. Yeah. I think
Well,
the
who
newer
knows?
generations are a lot different than the older generations as well.
I think you're right. You're right on it, Michelle. Yeah,
More
I think you're
open.
right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I think we're just more
I need
open
to
It's
about.
hard to find it's hard to find a newer generation that's a young person. I mean, that's an elder.
True.
No, but I
Because
mean, if I had to
in
go
their eyes,
back
I'm an
to,
elder.
yeah,
You know,
I
most all the tribes have a different. They have a different. They have a strong belief about the creatures and they respect them.
yeah.
All the tribes do, and that's understandable. You know, there's stories that go back, back years and years ago of these creatures
Hmm.
coming into their camps at night and taking women and children.
Hmm.
So, and I don't
Yeah.
doubt that didn't happen.
Right.
Well, it's common among a lot of tribes that they did
Yeah,
that. Yeah, and
right.
that's where I get the crossbreeding.
Yeah,
They
I agree.
and that's what made some of them more human-like. And that's what I think
Yeah,
the Patterson film was. I think that was one that was, they're all hybrids, because they just keeps diluting down the more they inbreed and
Mm.
or crossbreed. And I think they become more human-like, some of them, and that's why some of them don't show the same attributes that others do, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But what we were dealing with in the Sierras up there, I think, was more natural. Whatever they were, it might have been just plain aliens. I don't know. But, their tracks were different. Their tracks were the same over the years. Same splay configuration. Much different than the Patterson. The Patterson track was more human-like. It has more of an arch to it. 5 toes that were slanted. Ours were straight across. Got a picture of that. Quite a few pictures of them, really, and we've cast a few of them. But they're different, and yet and what we had up there definitely has language, and that made it a little off the wall for some people too, but it's very important. I think actually the film that they're coming out with pretty soon is called the Renaissance. They're going to call it Voices in the Wilderness, based on our camp, and it should be really, really good, and it should be out first part of the year. I got an audiobook coming out probably within a week. It'll be available on my site, I hope. And so, the whole thing's coming, it's getting bigger and bigger, what these things are and what they could be and the differences between them. And somebody needs to pull one out from the Dogman back there, Darrell.
Yeah.
Well, I guess they are doing some series on that, aren't they, back there with Martin?
You and I and a couple other people, Martin Groves and Mike Smith, have got a big expedition coming up. So who knows what we're going to find.
Yeah, that's right. I'm looking forward to that. But we can't talk about that, Darrell.
No, not talk about that just yet. Just all hypothetical. It's just, yeah. No, I love it. I love it. Okay. Well, you know what? We have time for a couple of other questions before this. We start 10 minutes after, so we can go. We have an extra 5 if you want to take a question. So, what was your? Oh, come on. See, I went and lost it. Okay, I'll get a new one. Sorry to whoever it was I lost. Ron, how scared were you when you and the other camper observers with you when you had to pull the trees into a tree fort and cable for safety in the Sierras?
Oh, he means a log for the doorway.
Thank
Well,
God,
there's 2
because
trees.
I was lost. Okay, good.
Yeah, I read that.
Okay,
I didn't read it, but
yeah. Okay.
really, truthfully, I wasn't as afraid as most people think you should have been. Now, some of the guys were, but at that time I was very strong in the church. I was raised religiously. I felt like I'm okay no matter what happens, and even though I had a gun, I was ready to shoot like everybody else was. But the fear part, you're concerned, but I wasn't really afraid, and I don't know how else to explain that, but I think they can cast that on you, and if you got fear, that's going to be your enemy. And I've known that for a long time. The only thing to fear is fear itself. That's what. Who said that? Somebody said that
Don't look at
besides
me.
Somebody said that besides me.
I think that was Ron.
Well, really, if you can't control your fear, because that is the part of it that I think most people miss out on. They're going to be afraid, and they say, "Well, as soon as that happened, we shot out of there." Well, you can't shoot out of where we were. You can't walk out at nighttime, especially. You're just not going to make it.
Yeah.
So as far as afraid goes, Donald Hilton, who's passed away now, he wouldn't go back. He would hunt in another area, but not around the camp. He would never spend the night up there again. And he was so afraid, and I think I talked about this in my first CD, his teeth were chattering. He's holding his gun. Everybody was ready to shoot their way out. They didn't know. When you hear something sound like a 1,000-pound gorilla out there beating his chest and chattering like that, you don't know what they're going to do. And you can't help but be a little concerned. But still, I knew they had not broke into the shelter at that time when I was up there, when I first went up there. And the Johnson brothers had been up there already earlier that year, and they didn't break in the shelter after them, and they didn't steal the salt and pepper. So you just don't know. You just don't know what you're dealing with, and so that's the unknown part that's concerning, is you don't know what's going to happen. So you just sit there, but we never shot out at them, and we definitely, I think we could have. But,
do you get concerned
anyway, go ahead.
with so many people with this newfound I say newfound interest, this newfound interest, because I mean it's in every field, whether it be ufology, paranormal, cryptozoology is not going to be any different. But um, do you get concerned that people are going to go out on their own now with this newfound interest and sometimes people tend to rile things up, or they're not versed, so they don't know, or maybe they're just going to, have an experience and say, we're going to come back here and bring friends. They don't necessarily go. I always say, if you have an interest, go with a trained, organized group who can teach you the do's and the don'ts, but not everybody does that.
Right. No, a lot of people they always take guns to shoot with them. Shoot one if they see one, they're going to shoot at it, and that's a shame. And
Yes.
that's just a shame because why shoot something you don't understand, and why shoot something just because it might
Yeah.
scare you? You know,
Right.
I think that they should go. It should
Yeah.
not take too many people, but you need someone to look over your shoulder, and you need to
Hmm.
know the do's and don'ts about what to look for, what to listen for, and what to do.
Hmm.
The biggest thing is just be a good person and respect the land, respect the property. That don't mean go
Hmm.
kissing all the trees or nothing, but that just means you know
Yeah. Yeah.
don't chop down a good tree for firewood. Get
Yeah.
the rotten ones that have already fell, and things like that.
Yeah.
I think that
Right.
was the issue up in Portlock, Alaska. I think it's just my opinion, but they took me in there for
Hmm.
my opinion, so I gave it to them. I think they were overfishing it, they were over timbering it, and they were also mining it, and I think that their ancestors did.
Yeah.
And that was bothering these things. That's why these things came out of the woods and started tearing apart. So that
Yeah.
would tell you that they don't like you when they do that.
Yeah, for sure. For sure it would. Yeah, that's I think it'd be a little bit of a giveaway there. I always, like I say, I think it doesn't matter which field you're in. There's a newfound interest in ufology, paranormal. I say high strangeness in general. There seems to be this huge awakening with
Hmm.
interest, and it's like I have always recommended, no, go whatever it is you're doing. Go with a group of people who are experienced, maybe tour guides, maybe people who can teach you something along the way. Don't just try to go on your own because you heard there's something here. Does it? Because I mean, if there's a bad encounter, Bigfoot is liable to say, you know what? For example, Bigfoot's liable to say, I didn't have such a great experience the last time, or maybe I did. Maybe it'll make them
Right. I
friendlier to the
agree with
next
that.
group.
That's
Yeah.
100% accurate, Michelle. I think that's a problem that you hear from a lot of people who are scared of these creatures. Not saying that they're not frightened for seeing one for the first time anyway, because it's a
Hmm.
life changing experience. But
Yeah.
you don't know what these creatures have experienced.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. And as far as, Dogman goes, ooh, that's always a chance.
Uh,
That's always a
yeah,
chance.
what I hear about the dog man, they got a snout on them for sniffing things out, and
Yeah,
uh, they may not like your smell. I don't
right.
know. I don't. From what I've heard from Darrell and from Martin Groves, uh, you want to watch yourself when you're lying between the legs, and you don't watch yourself anywhere because you really just still nobody knows, not Darrell, not me, not anybody, what these things are really all about. We're just trying to learn, and you got a new generation of people that
Right.
are wanting to know more and
Mhm,
more, and they need to learn more instead of just going out there and
mhm.
chomping around the woods and jumping around, shooting everything
Yeah,
they see.
mm,
Uh,
yeah.
but anyway, that's my thoughts.
Okay, one last question before we call it a night. Ron and Darrell, what is your advice for people who want to go into the woodlands and force an encounter?
You can't force one.
Nope.
I don't think you can force one. You got to be who you are, and that needs to be a good vibrational being, a good
I can tell you
person.
this much: if they don't want you to see them, you're not going to see them.
That's right.
Mhm.
Unless it's an accident. Yeah,
You don't ever find Bigfoot; they find you.
Ooh, and
true story.
that's a perfect place to leave it. So, I want to thank everybody who has been in the chat room, everybody who's tuned in. Great questions, great comments, and of course, big thank you to Gerald Denton, Ron Morehead for being gracious enough to answer all these questions. And it's just such an honor to spend the hour with you both. You have been listening to Two Real Cryptid Legends with Darrell Denton, Ron Morehead, and the sidekick, Michelle Desrochers. And, and
Thank everybody
And
for watching and all the comments. And I want to thank Michelle and for being here
yeah,
for us once again. And thank my good brother, Ron
me
Morehead,
too.
for with us.
And you've been listening on the United Public Radio Network 105.3 FM on the Gulf Coast, 107.7 FM in New Orleans. And keep watching that Facebook page, and then you're going to see another show come up in 2 weeks with a whole other topic. So thank you all, and good night.